I don't think you realize how powerful your mind is. You can literally make your body sick if your mind isn't in the right spot. And one of the reasons that you might be feeling burnt out, tired, or anxious is because your mind isn't in that right spot. Those are the exact feelings that I experienced when I went through burnout personally during grad school. I felt exhausted when I woke up, constantly tired and demotivated throughout the day, and in general very isolated from speaking with anyone about how I was actually feeling. But I was able to recover from burnout using these 4 mindset shifts that I'm going to share with you today. So whether you're currently in a state of feeling burnt out or you're just trying to fortify your mind and protect against it from becoming burnt out, I've got you. These 4 mindset shifts are going to change the way that you think about and interact with the world. So grab your notebooks, feel free to take some notes because we're about to dive into a lot of information and I really wish that I had this guide when I went through burnout. So before we get into mindset shift number 1, I want to talk about one of the reasons that we get burned out, and that is we say yes to everything. As a former self-identified people pleaser, what happened to me is I just wanted to agree to everything. I wanted everyone to feel comfortable, wanted everyone to be happy. So I said yes to helping you out and her out and him out and everyone else. And by saying yes to everything, by taking on thousands and thousands of commitments, I sacrificed my sleep, my self-care routine, any time for me to re-energize, especially as someone who really needs a little bit of just quiet me time to think and have nothing going on. It was really tough for me to have no time to re-energize throughout the week. But the reason that I did all of this, the reason I took on so many activities and tried to help every single person and say yes to every commitment was I was afraid that if I didn't do everything, I wouldn't be seen as valued. I associated my value with how much I could help people, because if I couldn't say yes to helping you on your project, then to that person, I was no longer worth anything. So a huge problem with what I did is I associated my personal worth with how helpful I was to other people. And that is putting all of my power and all of my worth in other people's hands, and also in how much I can produce and how hard I can work. And that's a huge issue, because if I wasn't doing something productive, if I wasn't working on something, if I was sitting around doing nothing, or even if I slept extra because I was tired, I felt like I was doing something wrong. I felt like I was being unproductive, like I felt horrible on the inside. So mindset shift number 1, because we gotta correct this, because this is just not good, because you deserve to be a human being who can, sleep in and do normal activities. That is normal, sis. So mindset shift number 1 that we're gonna get into is it's okay to say no. It's okay. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to over-justify why you don't want to do this thing. You can just say no, and that's okay. And for me, saying no to someone else meant I was saying yes to myself. If I said, no, I can't take on this club commitment, if I can't be the vice president of your club, it meant I was saying, yes, Emily, you can have time in the evenings to relax, or time in the mornings to go work out and take care of your mental health. You can have time on the weekends to go hang out with your friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. That means that you're replenishing yourself so that you can continue to do the things that you love and show up for others. And unfortunately, I did not say no to anything, which helped me get to burnout. So coming out of burnout, knowing I had to make some serious changes, I learned that it's okay to say no. And I had to tell myself, continuously, that it's okay to say no. You can say no and not have to justify yourself. What I want you to do is practice saying no if you have a hard time. Start with the little things. It doesn't have to be massive. So here's your actionable step. Just practice saying no. If someone is like, hey, Emily, that's me, third person Emily, hey, Emily, do you want to go out tonight? There's a performance at 11 p.m. at this place. So if someone says that, but I don't really want to, I just want to go to bed early. I've had a long day. I woke up early. I don't want to. I would say, no, thanks, not tonight. I would either say that, or I would say, no, thanks, I want to get some sleep. Practice politely saying no. And when we do this, it shows to us that we can say no and the world doesn't end, thank gosh. Because if you think about it, you don't question other people if they can't do an activity. If you ask your bestie if she wants to go get coffee after work today, maybe not coffee, matcha tea or something, and she says, no, I can't tonight, you're not gonna be like, why? I'm not good enough for you? You're not gonna do that because that's so illogical. It's okay for us to say no and not have to over-explain everything. Your value is not dependent on how productive you are. So that is actionable step number 1. And then if you recognize that your plate is overfilled, overcommitted, it might be a good idea to write down all of your priorities that you have, all of the things you have going on, and re-identify whether they are helping you get to your goals, whether all of the commitments that you have are actually adding value to your life and are something that you feel like you're really contributing for. It's okay to say no. Wow, I rambled on with that one for a lot, but mindset shift number 2 is I'm in control of my life and I take accountability for my actions. What is so easy, and what happened to me when I was going through burnout, is I had such a huge victim mentality. And this is really easy to fall into, so if you've fallen into this, don't be hard on yourself because it happens to so many people. It's really common. But I felt really, really empowered when I was able to get out of that victim mentality. And victim mentality is when you blame everything in your environment for things that go wrong. So like if I'm late to work, I'll blame it on, oh, it was raining and that's why I'm to work late. Or my bus driver was driving slow and that's why I'm to work late. But what I've found is really empowering for me and makes me feel like I really have good control of my life is when I take accountability for the things that go wrong in my life. Instead of saying, oh, the bus driver was late and it was raining and that's why I'm late to work, I'll say, yeah, I didn't leave my house in time and I wasn't prepared for any delays, so I just didn't give myself enough time to go to work and that's why I'm here late. But what I do that's really important here is I don't say this in a negative way. I'm not like, oh my God, I can't believe I was late to work again, because how we talk to ourselves is so important. Like you're the person who's gonna talk to yourself the most throughout your life, like the way that we think, or if we say something out loud to ourselves, which I'm coming to learn is not that common. Like, I can't be the only one who says little things to myself out loud, but we need to be talking to ourselves positively because your mental health is hugely dependent on if we're being nice to ourselves. And don't you dare be mean to my friend in there. I don't like that. Like if your friend was talking mean to herself, would you be okay with that? I would not be okay with that. So back to the point, we need to be able to take accountability for the things going wrong, but not take it in a really harsh way that's really negative to ourselves. So I'm not gonna be hard on myself when I'm taking accountability for the fact that I'm late or I didn't finish a project on time. I'm gonna be realistic with what went wrong, and then here's the important part, I'm gonna use what went wrong and then create a statement that allows me to make change for what I can do right in the future. So we learn from our lessons here. That's the most empowering part about this, is we acknowledge what went wrong and we say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do next time to make sure this doesn't happen. For example, if I have my car filled with gas and over the weekend my family uses it and uses up all the gas and I am driving it on Monday and I run out of gas. Well, I could, victim mentality here, blame the people in my household and say, oh my God, these people drove my car, how dare they, and now I'm out of gas, like the woe is me, like the world hates me. Like I could do that, that's victim mentality, or I could take power in my situation, in my life, take control of the decisions that I make and say, okay, I ran out of gas, let's stick to the facts. I'll take accountability for the fact that I ran out of gas. I should have checked the dial before I continued to drive it today, and I should have had a conversation with these people in my family about our expectations for who fills the gas. So those are two actionable things that I could have done to help prevent the situation, and then in the future, what I'll do is I'll have that conversation with whatever family members that I need to, and then I'll be careful to check how filled my gas is before driving every day. So those are the things that we do, but we do it in a really kind way, as if we're talking to a child. We're just reteaching ourselves to try and be kind to ourselves, because there's no point in being hard on ourselves for something that went wrong. We just want to learn from our mistakes. So actionable step for you is try to identify 1 to 2 things that go wrong throughout your day. If you find yourself blaming others or blaming the world or blaming circumstances, try to tone it back and take those steps where you take accountability, identify 1 or 2 or even more things that you might have been able to do in order to prevent something from going wrong, and then address in the future what you can do to make it better. And if you can do this once a day, if you can do this twice a day or more a day, it's just gonna build up that pattern recognition for your brain to shift out of that victim mentality and victim mindset and allow you to take control of your life. And it's all of these little changes that you make when you identify the things that you can do to change and make your circumstances more favorable. So, okay, next time I'm gonna fill my car with gas. Okay, I'm gonna have this conversation with this person. Okay, I'm gonna say no, thank you though to the person who's asking me to go out late at night because I wanna get a good night's rest so I don't feel like crap in the morning. So I'm gonna do all these things, and then I start to see little changes in my life where things just start going the way that I want them because I'm designing my life in the way that I want it to. And so this kind of compounds over time, and you start to see these really big effects on your mental health, on your physical health, and in general on your happiness levels, because you're doing the things that you feel empowered to make decisions and change your own life, which is beautiful thing. Okay, mindset shift number 3 is going to be, I don't have to give my energy to all of the people that I'm around. And this one, I'm speaking to you right here. If you're that people pleaser, I get you. I so get you. You just want peace. You just want people to be comfortable. You just want people to be happy and to like you and for the world to be a good place. And I hear you on that. But then the problem is a lot of people don't reciprocate that. If you're trying to put good energy out there to every single person that you meet, not necessarily a bad thing, but what we find there are these things called energy vampires, which are humans that just suck all of your energy and everything that you give. They just take advantage of all the goodness that you give. So at one point we have to draw a line, because otherwise we find ourselves working 24/7, which is where the whole it's okay to say no comes in. But what we especially want to do is be careful with who we give our energy to. We want to give our energy to all the people who love us and reciprocate that good energy. So this kind of ties into cutting out toxic people in your life. And of course, we can only do this to an extent because we interact with people of all energy levels throughout our days, but it's good to be mindful of how people treat you and how they actually interact with you. So the way I like to think about my personal energy bank is kind of like that of an iPhone battery. My iPhone has 100% when I start the day because I charge it overnight. And then throughout the day, if I use my iPhone for an activity, or if I give out my energy helping people or working on tasks that drain my energy, my iPhone battery goes down. But if I talk to my bestie on the phone, or if I have a little time for me for self-care activities throughout the day, my energy goes up. It's brilliant. So we have to be mindful about who is draining our energy and who refills our energy. Especially if you're in burnout recovery, your energy battery is already gonna be lower. You're probably not gonna be starting the day at 100%. I hope you are. But for me, during my burnout recovery, it was definitely starting the day at like 20-30%. So I had to be really careful to just not spend time around those people who I know I couldn't give my energy to. Honestly, when I was at my lowest of lows for burnout, I didn't have that much energy to start my day with. I literally could not have been super pleasant and just like my normal self with anyone who doesn't reciprocate that, because I almost needed like a recharge after talking to every person because I was that burnt out. So what I did is I thought about every interaction I had after I spoke with someone. Did they make me feel good? Did they make me feel drained? Did I feel like they acknowledged my opinion, cared about what I had to say? Did they make me feel horrible when I talked to them? And so I just thought about these things. And then what I did is I only engaged in conversations with people who filled my bucket and who I enjoyed talking to. So that was kind of uncomfortable at first because, you know, you just want to chat with everyone, be pleasant with everyone. But if you only have so much energy in a day, you just have to be a little selective with who you're spending it with. And sometimes you need to spend it on yourself, doing self-care activities. So we got 2 actionable steps with this one. Number 1 is going to be exactly what I just said. Basically, it's going to be after you talk to someone or interact with someone, how do you feel? Did they make you feel understood and listen to you? Did they interrupt you? Did they make you feel down? Did they make fun of you? Did they boost you up? Were they your ultimate hype girly? So these are things we just gotta think about. And then after that interaction, just remember how people treated you. If they didn't treat you very well, maybe don't talk to them next time, or at least try to not directly engage with that person if you don't have to. Try and go to those people who just hype you up, because those are the good ones. And actionable step number 2, get out your planner right now and schedule in 15 minutes of me time. You time, that's right. Schedule in 15 minutes of you time each day for the next week and just see how you feel at the end of the week. I feel like 15 minutes is very doable. I mean, it's just a little bit less time scrolling on our phones. An hour? That felt very ambitious for self-care. Important, and honestly, I would argue very essential for a lot of people, but I think 15 minutes is quite doable. Minimize some scrolling, take those 15 minutes and do things that help you feel grounded, like take a hot shower, take a hot girl walk, do a little gardening, do some drawing, be your Picasso best self, read a book that's fiction, meditate, do something just for yourself, something you enjoy. And it could be anything you enjoy, okay? Maybe not something on social media like scrolling, because sometimes I feel like that just takes my brain and puts it on overdrive. So for me, what's really helpful is just doing something that's being more present with my surroundings. Do that for 15 minutes, schedule in that time, because sometimes if we don't do that, we don't take the time. Mindset shift number 4, the final mindset shift, is the energy that I put out there is what I get back. This mindset shift was super helpful for me when I felt very isolated. So when I personally went through burnout, I didn't have a strong support network around me where I was living, which is actually one of the reasons I did get burnt out. But I did have a few friends who I considered pretty close, and I would find myself not wanting to talk about how I felt or being very superficial with how I talked with them. Like, yeah, I did this, this, and this, but I wouldn't talk about how I felt about any of that. And especially as a girly, you need your bestie to chat. You need those girl talks where you actually feel like you're connecting. Like, as humans, we just want connection nowadays. And this was really, really hard for me to do when I started doing it, but as you continue to do it, it just helps a lot. It helps so much to connect with someone, even if this is a therapist. But what I would recommend is, if you have someone who you're close with, try and connect with them, because I found that I didn't want to talk about how I felt. I felt like no one would understand, and it's just easier to not talk about it. And you don't have to talk about all of it all at once. But what really helped me is having that first coffee date with my bestie. If she's like, how are you? Don't be like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Like, don't be superficial, because if you put out superficial energy, that's exactly what they're gonna do. You wanna be honest, because if you give honesty, that's what you're gonna get back. If you want deep connection, you have to open up too. You have to extend the olive branch. You have to be the one who's opens up to talk about deep things, because if you don't, maybe they're not gonna start it. And like, if they do start it, then that's amazing, but you get the energy you put back. Whatever type of friend you wanna be, you have to act like it. And whatever type of sister you wanna be, you have to act like it, and so on. So I started having coffee dates with my bestie every Saturday, which was so amazing because I just started to open up and be like, yeah, I'm having a tough time right now, honestly. Like, it's been super isolating, and we would just kind of talk about it, and that helps so much. Processing things out loud and having someone to support you. So I would love to challenge you, if you feel like you resonated with what I said in the whole, I don't want to talk about how I feel, like no one understands, it's just hard. Like, I hear you, I've been there, and it sucks. But just try reaching out to someone who you think you might be able to talk to. You don't have to open up everything, but when they say, hey, how are you? How's everything going? Just try to be honest. Share one thing that you're going through that's kind of tough. You know, you don't have to share everything if you're not comfortable, but I think it's really important to put out what you want to receive back. So actionable step here, try reaching out to that person who you think you might be able to connect with, schedule that hot girl walk or that coffee date, or even just hang out and cook dinner. And when they try to connect with you, just remember that the energy you put out there is what you're gonna get back. So if you put out like, I don't wanna talk about deep things, I just want this to be a merely like, what is it called? Acquaintance-esque relationship, then that's what you're gonna get back. If you want a bestie, you gotta open up. So try and keep in mind how you talk to people and how you treat them, because what you say is gonna be the energy that you get back. Schedule that coffee date if you feel like you're motivated to open up to someone. You got this. Okay, closing note on this topic, and I know I covered a huge amount of information in this video, so feel free to like save it or like it so you can go back to check it out in the future if you just wanna refresh your mind. I know these mindset shifts take time. It wasn't night and day. Waking up the next day, I didn't feel incredible after I tried practicing these, because it takes time for your brain to become familiar and actually start using these in your life. But I got to burnout after months and years, so I didn't expect a quick fix the next day where you just wake up and I'm like, yes, I'm cured, I'm so happy. Like, it doesn't work like that. But the beauty is, at least for me, I started doing these mindset shifts after I hit rock bottom. Even though it took a while, even weeks, maybe months, but probably honestly for me a few weeks to really see that change, it didn't feel like rock bottom while I was going through it. As I was doing these mindset shifts and as I was practicing, it slowly got better and better. You start to see things a little bit more positive. So I hope that you enjoy these mindset shifts. I hope they were relevant to you. I know it's a little bit different because it's more of a mental health thing on my channel, but it's super important to talk about the mental side, because honestly, if your mind's not in the right spot, your fitness isn't gonna be anywhere. And I know this is a calisthenics channel, but the whole reason that I actually started doing calisthenics is because I burnt out. So I wanna provide tips to anyone who is going through burnout, because it sucks. I hear you, I've been there, and I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, hit the thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.